I'm about to put my 2 weeks in. Oh my god. Yeah, I am about to quit my job at YouTube. This is really fucking scary. I want to preface this by saying I feel really, really grateful for this to have been as hard of a decision as it was. But I ultimately, to give you all some background, yeah, look at my little pimple patch. And also, I just got back from the office. I was at the office today and I was going to have these meetings there, but I knew I was going to cry, so I came home to take my meetings from home for the rest of the day. But for background, I was an intern at Google in 2019. I was in marketing. So this is like the only corporate job I've really ever known. I had internships before that, but this is my only full-time position. I joined full-time in 2020 during the pandemic, so I was in marketing. I really didn't like that role. I didn't like my manager. I just had an overall bad experience, especially with the pandemic. They just weren't, it wasn't the Google lifestyle that I was like promised, so overall everything was heightened and shitty. I became a creator during that time, and I eventually got my job at YouTube being the shorts content strategist where I've been for the last year and a half, and I have loved it. I've loved every second of it. I love my manager. I love my team. I've gotten to travel. I got to go to Coachella and VidCon. I get to meet the biggest creators in the world and teach them things about shorts, and I get to influence strategy for the up-and-coming, shorts that is so, so major. But as I've been growing my business as a creator, I've been growing my robe business, and I've gotten an opportunity to work in VC in a part-time role, it doesn't make sense for me to put my time here. And it's crazy because I have so many incredible opportunities. This is one of them, to work at YouTube, and I have to prioritize and say that I love this job, but it's not where all of my energy should be going right now. Fear not, I'm not quitting just to be an influencer. I don't think I would ever do that, and I honestly don't advise that for most people. We can get into that later, but I am going to business school at the end of this year. So in 6 months, I'm about to be starting school. So I wanted to give myself time to really give it my all, give content and give investing and give work on my business my all before I started school and just, jumped into a new full-time gig. So in 10 minutes, I'm about to officially give that news to my manager. We've already talked about it, and he's the one who advised that I leave earlier. I was planning on leaving end of March, but then I expressed to him how I was feeling, and after the layoffs that were literally 2 weeks ago, everyone's gonna think I'm crazy for leaving. However, the layoffs helped me realize this company doesn't probably care about me very much, even though I love them, so I'm not gonna give them more than I have to, and I have enough money saved to survive for the next 6 months, so I may as well give myself that time. But that doesn't make it any less emotional. My manager is running late. Oh my god. I just told my manager, this is just crazy. Of course he was supportive and it's this is the best case scenario. I have to say, I feel like most people who are creators and they're I'm leaving my job, I'm quitting my job. It's that kind of video where you're OMG, you get to do content full time, but it's that's not it's not fun for me to have to leave something that has been so exciting and great for me. It's so bittersweet because I just really do love what I do. So I am excited. Right now I've got to write up my plan for offboarding and who I want to talk to, what I want to do, what I want to leave, and then I'm telling my director in an hour and a half. So pray for me. But that's the tea. This is so crazy. And something I did, or I guess I should talk about this too. Something I did before I made this decision that made it a lot easier was I put together a doc of what I wanted to do with my time off and what my intentions were for the things I wanted to do. So for example, going to business school. That's something that a lot of people just do because they don't know what they want their next step to be. And if that's what you want, to figure out what you want your next step to be, that's fine. But for me, I was I need to have a very clear reason why I'm going, because people keep asking me, like, when I leave, my manager's going to ask me, well, why business school and not Google, you know? And so I wanted to write a clear intention for that, one that's, like, personal, like, for my own development, and then one, like, one-liner that I can tell anyone who's asking me so that I don't feel like, oh, I don't really know, like, I'm not making this decision out of a lot of thought. The second thing I did was think about my time, quote, off, where I won't have a corporate job. That's going to be about 6-ish months. And I was like, okay, cool. I want to set what I want to do for that time. So for the first 3 months, it's full-fledged focus on entrepreneurship, running my business, doing content creation. And in the second 3 months, I want to focus on travel, and it'll be the summertime and things will be, you know, more fun and stuff like that. So I made that doc, and that's what I referenced this morning before I told my manager, like, that I was leaving. This is why I'm leaving. This is what I'm gonna do. I didn't tell him, like, yes, I'm planning on traveling to these 3 countries. No, I was like, I am leaving. This has been so incredible, but it's the natural next step in my career. And having that framework made it so easy for me because there was no doubt. There was discomfort, of course, that, like, I had to tell someone who has really supported me through my career that our time is coming to an end, and that I have to tell my team that I'm no longer going to be here. That's uncomfortable, but I didn't do it from a place of doubt. I did it from a place of true like, love, and this is just so crazy. So now it's time to get this offboarding off, and I'll talk to you guys later. Morning, guys. It is the day after I put in my notice, I guess. Like, I did that on Thursday, and then Friday, yesterday, was just a day of, you know, wrapping things up, getting work done, prepping for my departure, and I am now going, it's now Saturday. Jeff's family is in town, so he's preoccupied, obviously, and I've been having such bad anxiety. I know I have no plans this weekend, and maybe that's what it is, because I don't have anything to look forward to, and I'm not busy, and I'm just left alone with my thoughts, but I also don't feel very clear mentally, which has been something I've been struggling with for a while, and now it's literally single digits outside. So typically when I'm not feeling clear, I just go on a walk and, like, until I feel clear again. But because when I woke up this morning, it was literally 6 degrees outside, I just sat here and watched Beverly Hills and ate breakfast, but I was, like, super anxious. So now it's warmed up. So now I remember, guys, I went to college in Chicago, Illinois. Like, I don't know why all of a sudden going outside in single degree digits temperature is stressing me out. Like, what are you talking about, girl? So I recognize, and now it's 15 degrees, I think. Let's see, 16 degrees. So I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna do some sprints, I think, because I did sprints this week. I've been cycle syncing, so I'll give you a little update on that. I've been cycle syncing, where I do my workouts and my food according to what's going on in my menstrual cycle. And I noticed a big difference, because when I went to the gym on Wednesday, instead of working out like I typically do strength training workouts, and I just noticed that my strength training workout was harder to do. Like, I'm very strong upper body wise, and like 10-12 pound weights were, like, hard for me. I don't know, maybe because I didn't eat enough that day, I really don't know. But then sprints and cardio were really easy for me, and it was you're supposed to focus on cardio in that cycle, so I guess this makes sense. Anyway, going to go to the gym, going to go to the steam room afterwards, and then see where life takes me from there. But I just can't decide which gym to go to, if I go to the Dumbo one or if I go to Brooklyn Heights, because Brooklyn Heights is, like, a hair closer, but the showers in the steam room are not that nice, and there's less room. Like, it's probably a third of the size of the Brooklyn Heights one. But I feel like because it's 16 degrees out that people won't be there. I hope, but I really don't know. I went to the Brooklyn Heights one on Wednesday, and I don't really know. So we'll see. I am just feeling really anxious, so I'm trying not to, like, think about anything crazy until after I work out and can get a little bit clearer. So I think I will just go to Brooklyn Heights because then I know it better and it's easier to get to. So, all right, I put on 2 layers of clothes. So I have on my Aloe set, and then underneath I have on a Beyond Yoga set, and oh, this is so unflattering. And then I have on 2 pairs of socks. Yeah, and then we got the Super Puff. And I've still been using this base sport tote. It's not very good though. I'm gonna need a new one, so let's go to the gym. Hello, baddies, and welcome back to Too Smart for This. I am so excited for today's episode. I'm also doing a 2-for-1 right now where I'm recording a video for YouTube because we gotta let the girls know, you know what's going on. And also the 100th episode of my podcast, Too Smart for This. So if you're not a YouTube girly, that's where you can go for all the lifestyle content about me. And if you are not a podcast girly, that is where you can hear me interview guests about self-confidence, self-love, and self-care, being your best self, etc. So go subscribe to whichever one you're not already on. But today we have an extremely special video announcement, life update. Life is crazy at the moment, but I first want to take a moment to say a huge thank you to my Too Smart for This podcast listeners. This is the 100th episode of the show. I started it in December 2020, which is wild to me because my life was so different then. It was the pandemic. I was living in St. Louis because I was still very codependent with my family. And by codependent, I mean I was very independent, but I was very controlling of my family and there were so many issues there where I felt like I had to be the savior, and I was able to let go of that. I moved to New York. The podcast was doing incredible. I grew as a content creator. I started my TikTok career. I started my YouTube career, and I had a full-time job the whole time. And it was just truly crazy that how much your life can change in 2 years and in 100 episodes. So I am so grateful to every single one of you who listened, who shared on Instagram stories, who left a review, who DM me every week and tell me what you think of the episodes. It means the absolute world to me, and I have to say, my podcast girls are my girls. This is the first thing where I really bet on myself to start this show and to be where we are now with hundreds of thousands of downloads and incredible guests that I could only have dreamed of connecting with when I first got started. I am so grateful. So thank you so much. And I can't wait for the next 100. So with that being said, we have a super special episode today because I am jumping in to tell you my new life update. And I don't know, I think this is I was really nervous to share this, and I'll tell you why, but I'll rip off the Band-Aid. And after that, I want to get into what I've learned from the last 100 episodes and how I got to where I am able to do what I'm doing now. So with that being said, let's jump into it. I quit my job. I can't believe that I'm telling you guys this because if you've been with me for a while, you've always known that I love my job and that it's my dream job. I feel really lucky to work at YouTube. And when I decided to leave, there was so many factors that went into it, so I'll give you a breakdown and tell you what I'm going to be doing next. So I quit my job at YouTube, and it was a hard decision. And I feel so lucky that it was that hard of a decision for me to make. And I want to say, I started there in September 2020. I had been a Google intern. Google's really all I've known since I was 20 years old. I'm 24 now, and I joined the marketing team. That was during the pandemic. I really didn't like it. And after building up my own content creation experience, I was able to switch over to YouTube, where I was the shorts content strategist. I built a lot of resources for how to do well on YouTube, how to do well on YouTube Shorts. I worked with our product team to develop strategy for YouTube Shorts, with our marketing teams, with everyone, and it was truly the best job. I got to go to Coachella, I got to go to VidCon, I worked with the biggest YouTube creators and the brand new YouTube creators. My manager is a great person and so supportive. I had the best job. However, I was also getting a ton of different opportunities in life. So from this podcast, which was growing, to my own career as a creator, that was growing. And I have another opportunity that was incredible that I couldn't really pass up, but would be hard to do with a full-time job. I had so many things going for me outside of work that even though I loved my job so much, there comes a point where you have to make a decision about what you love more. Like Samantha Jones in Sex and the City. Like, honestly, like where it's like, I love this and I'm really good at this and I got promoted early and I'm well respected at my job, but it's not fulfilling. And if I have other things that are fulfilling and lucrative, why wouldn't I give those my all? And if I've been able to get here where I am now, which I'm so happy with, if I've been able to get here with a full-time job, imagine what I can do without it. So I made the choice to leave, but it was also in tandem with having something else to do. And that's because I truly don't believe in doing content creation full-time with nothing else lined up, because I work at YouTube, because I know the stress that it can cause to have something that was once your passion become your job. It's not always as fulfilling afterwards. So you've got to be really careful about that. I am a business girl through and through. And so knowing that, like, I didn't want to have content be my full thing, I launched a business last year, which is doing really well as well. But I learned for myself that what's most fulfilling for me is entrepreneurship and business and long form content, stuff like that. So since I've always known that I wanted to go to business school, I applied to business school while I was a senior in college and got in via deferred enrollment, which is when you apply as a senior and then you have to go work for 2 to 4 years before you go to business school. So when it was October of last year, when I was dealing with depression, when I was really in a bad place, that's when you have to essentially alert the school and let them know when you're going to come. And I had gone into Wharton. I don't know if I said that already, but I'm really excited about it. It's in Philadelphia. I went to visit in October, and I essentially told them, like, hey, I am gonna come next year. And so I've known for a little bit that I was gonna go to business school next year, but I hadn't fully signed on, and I still haven't fully signed on to it. I've just let them know that I'm coming. There's a lot of other processes that you've got to do to get things together for that. It's a long story, but I was originally planning to leave Google sometime over the spring or summer, not this early, but I have another really fun thing that I'm going to be working on that is a big opportunity for Black women, and it might not be big unless you're in that specific industry, but it made me rethink about how I got all these opportunities outside of work that are so fulfilling and exciting to me, and I don't have the capacity to give them my all because of my full-time job. And as much as I love my job, somebody else can do it just as well and give it their all and probably do it better than me. So that's what led to my decision to leave. I was originally going to leave earlier, but because of things happening internally at the company and because I am really burnt out and have been burnt out since October, my manager and I talked about it, and eventually he was supportive of my decision of leaving now. So I quit my job. I'm so excited, and for the next 6 months, I'm going to be doing content in the robes full time, thank God. However, before I go to business school, I am going to be traveling, so Jeff and I are going to go to Europe for a month. We're going to South America, I think, to see our friends. I don't really know, but I'm really excited, and that's my big update. I was a little nervous to tell you guys this. Amidst everything going on in the world where a lot of people are being laid off from their jobs, it felt a little selfish and absurd to quit initially. And then I recognized that me leaving my job means that somebody else is going to get a really great and incredible job that's really fulfilling, and I will still have mine. I don't need to have 3 at once. I've saved up enough money to survive for at least 6 months. I am good, and I can go take that, leap on myself. And if it doesn't work out, I got business school. And if that doesn't work out, then I can go back to YouTube. And so I originally thought it would be really weird to come on here and be like, I'm quitting my job. And then I recognized that no, it's not. It's what's right for me. And what's right for me, I will always be secure in, and no one can take that from me. And that is really what I've learned over the last few years. So thank you, 1, for the podcast, and 2, I am so excited to be able to give content my all for the first time. I've been creating it with a full-time job because I started in September 2020. So I really have never been able to give it everything, and I'm so pumped and excited to be creative, because I know that I am not the most consistent. I know that I don't produce the best content out there, and I know that because I'm a content strategist. Like, I review content all day for a living. I know what's good and I know what's bad, but sometimes when I have so much going on, I just press publish because I don't have the time and energy to make it perfect. And so I'm really excited to be able to like really be creative and like give it my all. With that being said, I've been talking for 10 minutes about my life, so I want to get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, which is a discussion on basically the 4 things that allowed me to get to this place, and like how far I've come over the last like 2.5 years. So I started this podcast in December 2020, and that's after like a bit of drama on the gram. I basically woke up and I had 7,000 Instagram followers. And I found that like oh my god, shit. I found that I had a lot more to say that I really couldn't get across on Instagram or Instagram stories. And I decided to start a podcast because I loved podcasts so much. They've always been such a big part of my life. And they really helped a lot with my healing when I was in college and I was going through some really, really tough shit. And I love podcasts, and I decided to start my own. But I was really holding myself back at this point, and hopefully this will paint a picture of where I was in December 2020. Living in St. Louis, which is where I'm originally from, where I had no friends, like quite literally no friends, because I went to boarding school and all my friends are from a different country. So I was literally home alone with my siblings. I was like over controlling with my family because I'm the oldest sibling and I'm obviously more successful than where I came from. So I had this like weird feeling that I had to take care of everybody around me. I'm also the oldest grandchild, by the way. So it was just like toxic behavior. This is when Donald Trump when Biden had just gotten elected. It was like a really intense period of time. Like 2020 was just an evil time for all involved. And I was just starting to figure out how to love myself. I had stopped dieting. I was doing intuitive eating. I was learning how to like journal and meditate and stuff like that. And I wanted to share that journey with you guys. And I think I have. This is pre-TikTok, pre-having a following on anything else. And I just loved podcasting. So I'm so glad that I started it, because honestly, like if I had made myself wait until I hit that 10,000 subscriber or 10,000 follower number, like for what? Like you should just do what you want to do because you want to do it, not because you want other people to see it. And that's stayed very true for this podcast over the last 2 years. Like, I'm here because I want to be. I'm here because I love it. I'm not doing it for anybody else. I don't make money from it. It's literally just because I love showing up here and talking to you guys all the time. So 2 years ago, obviously I was in sort of like a negative place mentally, but I just started this, and after that I was experiencing real confusion because I had started my full-time job at Google and I hated it. And I thought that like, I didn't think about what would happen once you got a job when you were an adult. I had only thought about like, oh, you have a job and now you make money, and so that's great. So even when they asked me like, hey Alexis, what do you want out of this experience? Like when I first started, I didn't know I was allowed to have an answer. That's where I was 2 years ago. And I was going through a lot because I didn't love my job and I was really confused. And I was like, I'm supposed to be fulfilled by this and I'm not. And this is so annoying. And I also have to pay taxes and I also have to live in New York City and I don't know what I'm doing. And it was just like a crazy situation. And it wasn't a crazy situation. It was post-grad. It was what everybody goes through. I felt crazy. I felt like I was going crazy. And I also had no guidance because my family had never done anything like this. I didn't know anybody, who I could talk to about this, because everyone else who I did know, their parents did go to college and their parents did support them. And so if they had to decide how to deal with a crazy boss at work or how to, pay their taxes on time and, start a business, they didn't know. So I felt really alone, and you listened to all that. You heard me on this podcast trying to figure all those things out myself. But over the course of the last 2 years, I've been able to accomplish a lot, where I have this podcast that's top rated, that's one of Cosmopolitan's #1 self-care podcasts for women that has hundreds of thousands of downloads. And now I also have been able to quit my job. I've been able to save enough money to live comfortably for 6 months, which at that time, I don't even think I had a credit card. I had nothing to my name, honey. And I've been able to grow into this woman that I am so, so happy and proud to say I am, and overcome a lot of setbacks over the last few years too. So the big ways that I've been able to do this, which I guess that was like a long, sometimes I am talking and I'm like, I really hope that this all makes sense because I'm doing this off the cuff, girl, and so here we are. Anyway, here are the 4 things that I think are the reasons that I was able to get to this place, or like the biggest core 4 lessons I've learned in the last 2 years of my life. 1, always have a plan, but always be flexible. So I've had a plan every single moment of my life. So starting in September 2020, before I was a content creator, I had my 5-year plan for how I was gonna kill it in marketing at Google. When that didn't work, I wasn't mad about it. I didn't really feel like the need to grieve it because I was like, okay, cool, this didn't work for me. Let me just make a new plan. So I think a lot of people say don't be rigid with your plan for the future. But for me, I don't have something to look forward to. It's really hard for me to give it my all and even see what's going to happen. So always have a plan. Like I have a plan right now for if I become a great podcast host and if I decide I want to go back into corporate at Wharton, like I can see all those things in my mind at once so that I have a reason for being. However, if it changes and I realize I don't like something, I just take it as feedback and make a new plan. And that has really kept me, on a great path, even though when I started this podcast, I didn't even have a TikTok. Crazy. 2 is knowing that there is always a bigger plan for me. And I took all of my setbacks as learning opportunities. In the moment, your setbacks are always gonna hurt. It's always gonna feel like shit. You're always gonna be upset about it. I've had plenty of them. I have one on the daily. And the thing is, I always go back to where is this going to fit in my memoir? Where is this going to, be something that I'm proud to, or when am I going to be able to laugh at this? Because you always are able to laugh at your setbacks within a few months. So I try to find the funny and I try to find the absurd in everything I'm going through, even though it doesn't feel like that in the moment. And that has really helped me stay really happy about the future, but also just knowing that there is a big thing that's going to happen for me one day. And because I take my future seriously, because I know life is meant to be amazing, that's kind of helped me just look at things and be like, sure, whatever. This is a learning experience. Every time a problem arises in your life, it's just a reflection of somewhere that you need to look to figure something out within yourself, to learn something so you can ultimately be happier. So see it as that. A good book for thinking about that in another way is called The Alchemist. I would highly recommend it. It's a top self help book, so you guys will love it. The 3rd is treating things like a business before they are. And this is really helpful for me personally because I treated content creation, I treated podcasting like a business, as in setting up an LLC, setting up an email, setting up, plans for it, writing things down, taking things seriously in terms of metrics before they were actually lucrative. And that has helped me stand out amongst my competition. It's helped me mentally start taking my other career seriously. And that has just helped me, I think, land more brand deals, be more successful, be more excited and fulfilled, because I always took my excitement and my passion seriously. And when you invest in yourself, that money always comes back to you. It always does, and it always has for me. So treating things like they're more important than they are helps attract that positive energy of this is going to be something amazing just because I want it to be. And if it isn't, that's not even on my radar. So that's also helped me because when I started this podcast, I didn't have any money. I was in debt. I had lost my life savings, which was very small considering my background, in a scam. I had gone through a lot of shit, y'all, with money. And so being able to come from that place of having my like a really bad credit score and no money to where I am now, where I have enough saved, I have a great business with great cash flow, and I have credit cards that I never could have dreamed of having. Like, that's because I took my financial shit seriously. I was like, I'm gonna act like I'm rich even though I'm not. And what rich people do is they know where their money goes and they take care of it. And that's what I did, and that is probably the thing I'm most proud of because it was the hardest thing for me to figure out. The last thing, and you guys knew I was gonna say this, is rituals and taking time to connect with myself often. I cannot function without my morning and evening routines. They make, before like 2 years ago, I literally never had time to myself where I was like reflecting or journaling or meditating, going on a walk by myself. Like, that's insane. Like, I was never doing that. I was so go, and that made me rely on external validation because I could never just sit and be with myself. And I didn't know what I wanted and what I liked. I was just trying to appeal to all these other people who I can't even remember their names anymore. And so I feel like being able to take that time and think every morning about what I want and let myself daydream and journal with myself when I'm upset so that I can figure out the root of the problem instead of like just being so angry about it. These things are things that I never had done at this point, and now that I have them, they are my greatest superpower. And taking care of myself is my greatest superpower, and it's yours too. Like, that's the great thing about it is like everyone can do it, and every woman just like needs to know that I just can't even believe. Sometimes, you know, when you look at your friends and you see when they have their untapped potential for how much they could like love themselves or how much they could do if they just believed in themselves a little bit more. I want you to look at yourself and think of yourself that way, because honestly, guys, like, that's how it is. Like, I feel like when I look at myself and who I was back then, I can look as a friend and be like, OMG, like, Alexis, if you just, and I have friends who did this for me. In fact, like, I have a friend who was with me in 2020 when I had a breakdown because I realized that I had no self-confidence. I was crying to him. It was the middle of the night. We had just gotten back from like a night out, and I had lashed out at my other friend because of like, it was like a weird situation. I had lashed out at him and I had been so mean, and I was sobbing because I was like, I don't even like any of these bitches I'm hanging out with. Like, I don't know, like, people are, like, I just was at a breaking point and I felt so empty. And such bad shit had been happening to me, like, it was so bad. And what he had said to me in that situation was, I don't understand how you have no self-confidence, because you are so incredible, and look at everything you've done, look at who you can be, look at everything you have going for you, and you hate yourself. Why? And so I'm so glad that, like, even though I couldn't hear it then, I couldn't hear it on that night, I can look back and see it now, because that's how I feel about so many of my friends and so many of you guys who even DM me and are in like negative situations and trying to get out of them or asking for advice. And I'm like, I just want to shake everyone and help them realize how incredible they are if they just took a look at themselves and started enjoying time with themselves and stopped apologizing for who they were. Like, that is so important. And so I'm gonna get emotional because of thinking of how far I've really come. Like, truly, in such a short amount of time, I never could have dreamed that I'd be like living the dream, like I say, like, these days. So anyway, those are the 4 things that have really helped me get to where I am now, and the biggest things I've learned as I've been going through this crazy, like, post-grad life. I am now about to embark on a new chapter that is going to be so fun and exciting. So in order to help me do that, if you guys could please let me know what kind of content you want to see. So let me know what you want to see from the Unemployed Girls. I'm also not announcing that I quit my job until probably Monday, so if you're a pod listener, you know early, but I probably won't post it on like Instagram and TikTok until later. Let me know what you think, and if you have any thoughts on it too. Like, seriously, DM me, because I love when you guys DM me from the podcast. Like, it actually makes my day every single time, and from YouTube as well, because I don't always check my YouTube comments, so Instagram DMs are amazing. But I'm so excited. I'm gonna be able to give the podcast my all, so I'll hopefully grow. I'm gonna be able to do better YouTube vlogs, so hopefully we'll grow on there. But please just let me know what you want to see. Any specific content requests, I will happily oblige, because I got time now, girl. Anyway, I'm so happy. Like, I just feel like mental space and creativity is on its way to me, and I can't wait for it. I love you guys so, so, so much. And please remember that you are too smart to not love yourself. See you later.